What's up, guys? It's your boy Alex here. Been a while, and almost 2 weeks later than I thought I would get to this, but life has been busy, so I finally had the time. Today I'm just gonna be reviewing some black and white drafts from ZTL. This is gonna be uncut, just me yapping about the drafts. I'm bad at rating stuff because that would mean need an objective scale, and like drafts that I think are objectively like a 6 out of 10 in the rankings I do, they are functionally like very different. Like, for example, it's hard to talk about a hyper offense draft like we're gonna see over here with objective measures. So I'm just mostly gonna be talking about individually, and I'm gonna talk about these people today. So first 16 drafts, and hopefully I will have more time next week, so I'm gonna do some more next week, but we're just getting 16 today. And this is gonna meant as educational to some extent, because I'm gonna be talking about like how draft structure works and how you can go about drafting these drafts, and this may serve as an idea also for your drafts. So without further ado, I guess we're gonna just get started. So I'm gonna highlight our first draft. So we're gonna be talking about undefeated at first. Can I make this any bigger? It will have to do. So get us started. We have undefeated. So he drafted Garchomp, Hydreigon, Blastoise, Gengar, Registeel, Tangela, Lantern, and Emboar. So a double dragon draft, obviously, like the noteworthy feature about this draft. And offensively that core is like pretty close to impossible to respond to, because Garchomp's like checks are mons that are just physically fat and can eat like a mixed Fire Blast, but in general to like Scarf sets and all that, the physical ones, it's like stuff like Skarmory, stuff like Bronzong. Garchomp, I'm pretty much a believer that it is impossible to check, so take that as you will. But it's like physical sets are blocked by these bulky steel types that are floating, or stuff like Cresselia that can check Garchomp pretty well, or Porygon 2 can check. So it's always pretty much these physical defensive fat dudes that can just eat like an Outrage or an Earthquake and can live like a Firefang. Though Garchomp is pretty build heavy, so you can slot in like Life Orb, Fire Blast, or Draco, and then that like changes a lot of things. So I feel my personal POV on Garchomp is that you have to force it to run specific sets with your own draft. That is your counterplay to it, but I have more started to lean on Garchomp being ban worthy, because how do you actually check this shit? But yeah, anyways, my tangent over on Garchomp. So Hydreigon can answer these pretty safely. It has like a Life Orb, Fire Blast that is pretty strong. It has strong Draco, so it stacks they also like both. They kind of stack on pressure on the steel types to really do their jobs, because you are drag spamming. So kind of the offensive like synergy between these two is like the highlight of this team. And then team picked up Blastoise, fair enough, like all-rounder spinner. Nothing to Blastoise type mon that I always pretty much feel like is good on any given draft. It's always just a reliable pickup. The Gengar I find interesting, but I think it's gonna work here. The Gengar is abusing the fact that you have such strong breakers towards steel types, so you the ghost resist is like hard to find, because in this tier many people don't really draft normal types, and the dark types are like fairly easy to kill with, like, you think like Trapion, for example, which is a noteworthy pursuit mon, or a Tyranitar. Both are just EQ weak, so you actually beat those. So your this core kind of beats dark types fairly easily. So the Gengar is pretty free to abuse here. Rigid Steel, good mon overall, no real complaints about it. Like, it's just fat Stealth Rocks, Thunder Wave, just all around defensive mon. And then this draft is like finished off with Tangela, which serves as a check to ground types, which this didn't really have. Then you have Lantern that checks Fundy fairly well, so that's like good, and it also checks some of the special threats. And then you have Embor, which honestly I don't think is ever gonna come to a game. And that is like a very major gripe I have about this team, is that first of all, I don't like the fact that our fastest mon is 1110. I think I would have preferred if it was like a tad bit faster, because Raikou, I'm looking at like Raikou, for example, in this team, and before you say anything, Lantern, blah blah blah. Yeah, Lantern, but a lot of the good Raikou cores that we are seeing around in this metagame is that they have like a Cure in Black or Salamence or something like that, and this team is omega open to like offensive Raikous in the late game after this Lantern gets shipped, which means that you just have to play around it pretty heavily. And Tangela also can check Raikou pretty well. I saw that firsthand in DVL. But I think that because you're so inclined to bring your top 5 every single game, you're most likely gonna bench either a Lantern or Tangela most in games, and that's like a functionality thing where I don't think we're gonna see both of them at the same time on a team. Because I think like benching Garchomp or Hydreigon is pretty crazy, and then it's like maybe Gengar can be benched or Registeel can be benched, but then you're forcing Garchomp to run Stealth Rocks, and I don't think that's optimal. It's like there's this weird overlap because you want to bring this top 6 so heavily, and then you're stacking a lot of rolls on this Lantern to perform, where I would be kind of hesitant. I think that's like playable though, very much playable, very much build dependent. Then I feel that this team is like inclined to bring Scarfers quite often. It's most likely gonna be either this Hydreigon or Garchomp, depending on the matchup, which isn't like terrible, but they aren't like these mon's best sets. Garchomp obviously I think is like SD is probably its best, and then Hydreigon Life Orb, 3 attacks, because these mons like to switch their moves quite commonly in game, so that's like a worry that this team could run into potentially in the later halves, because Gengar, I did mention that you have like very good pursuit answers offensively, but it's still like if you get trapped by like a Scarf T-Tar, for example, you're first to run Colbur, and then that's like scary. But you also do have very good Thunder Wave support with this Lantern and Registeel, so it's like the speed control is like not terrible. And if I had to say something, I think this team's matchup into like Scarf Excadrill or Scarf Landers is kind of scary on occasion, so that's something to take into account. Because ground types just do very well into this team. If this Tangela is able to be taken care of, but what what I'm noting with this yapping is that there's a lot of ifs, I think, and that's good that there are ifs, because that means you can prep around these things, and as long as you can prep around these things, it's like good. Like, yeah, if I had to say one bad matchup, it's Alakazam, but specifically Ice Sam with like Life Orb, for example. But you still have like tools to play around it. Like Registeel can very much come in on it, and even though Focus Blast is pretty fruit-like because you're honestly never going Gengar. Oh yeah, that's actually a very valid point. The fighting resist on this team is like fucking Gengar, and that's it. But then again, Tangela checks Terrakion to some extent, but it's never gonna be perfect. Yeah, this team's fighting resist is just Gengar, so that's like, again, something to take into account. So I do think this is like a functional team. I don't rate these teams because I'm very bad at seeing like the nitty-gritty, and I don't have an objective measure, but it's like something, these things to take account for. So lastly, probably is that this team is Omega T-Spike weak. Or is it even? It sounds like fucking Garchomp, Blastoise, and then bottom three. Then these three don't even care. Yeah, it's not even that. Toxic Spike's weak, and Blastoise has refresh, so it's like fine. It's kind of a free click, I guess, in certain matchups, but it won't come up all that often. So yeah, it's a really good team. Yeah, I think it's a good effort, yeah. 100%. Yeah, that's probably all I have to say about this team in specific. So let's move on to Heat Bar. This is a pretty traditional take on the Jirachi offenses that we have been seeing more and more of, with Salamence and this time Infernape. So usually what these teams do is like they grab Jirachi, Salamence plus Spin, usually a Blastoise, but this time it's a down fan, and then they work to build like this offensive ball from there. And this is a style we have seen succeed. Probably most noteworthy in MPL. Deval, it was like it didn't really see that much success because, well, unfortunate happened. Yeah, when I was looking at this team kind of lacks raw power. Is probably my immediate thoughts, because it doesn't really have a strong spiker, and then your best offensive tool is like Infernape and Salamence, and neither of these want to run Choice Specs or Choice Band. Well, Salamence can run Choice Specs, but it's like it doesn't want to run that every single game. So you just have a little bit of lack of power in the team. You have a lot of bulk, though, and I feel I think this team is gonna be running like Wish Jirachi quite commonly, to account for the fact that you are playing for longer games. But even then I feel like the lack of spikes is like extremely harmful here, because if you're playing for longer games, you want to force progress more with this type of mons, and then you just don't. I think that Yuxi could have been a different mon for sure. I don't think it needed to be here. I get why it's here, but you weren't like doing terribly into Extra Trail already with Donphan and or in general like ground types. So I don't think it was really needed here, and Suicune is a pseudo ground resist. So this Yuxi just kind of being here, it's kind of weird. I don't get it. I don't get this Yuxi at all, because you have like all its roles filled with Jirachi, Donphan, and Suicune. So you don't really need it for anything. So this could have been like an offensive mon. I don't really have anything that comes to mind straight away, but it could have been like an offensive mon or a cheaper spiker. mon would have definitely liked on this team is like Scolipede, for example. And that isn't necessarily offensive, but it's strong hazards with spikes and toxic spikes. And then this Serpure could have been a different mon. So that's like good angle to look at it. Or this Yuxi could have, yeah, if it was like a Scolipede, then this could be a Sceptile, which is outright stronger. And then you don't have a spinner or a spin blocker, but you still have like a very strong offensive ball to abuse. So I think this team just has a severe lack of power. Though I think it's probably gonna do fine still. But in certain cases, against like opposing Jirachi, I can see that this team will struggle when Infernape's fire clicks aren't as free into like Blastoise and shit. So it just has those kind of weirdness that we don't really see these days from Jirachi teams. I think it's like a functional team very much though. This team, unlike the one before though, this team I will give shit for being Toxic Spikes weak, because your defensive mons really, like the Suicune really wants Toxic Spikes off. It requires a ton of support as a mon, and that is like a key aspect for it. So the lack that this team doesn't really have grounded poison is bad, I think, for it, because Suicune wants to come in on targets and check them, and then if it's losing its leftovers, or if it's being forced to run like Chest or Resto every single game, you're limiting your Suicune's potential, and that's like bad, I think. It's not terrible, but it's a limiting factor for this team. Yeah, I don't feel like anything particularly interesting. There's particularly anything interesting outside of that. It's very much a functional team, and that is probably what you want at first. And if this makes like top cut, then you can definitely do better in redraft, but it definitely can do shit. So yeah, good, cool team. Just lacks power, so I have complaints. Drowsy, oh boy, yeah, this is exactly why I didn't want to do an objective ranking for this, because like, how do I rank even fucking just Sun, Hard Sun? So yeah, there's not much else to say that it is Hard Sun, and it excels at being Hard Sun. It doesn't really have a way to explode waters, which is something a team like this wants to do. But Darmanitan with Flare Blades in Sun does hit like a motherfucker, so that's probably gonna be sufficing. Like, this is hyper offense, and you aren't like trying to really be shy about it. You have two good speed options in Alakazam and Doctoro, so you are fast as hell, and then you have Terrakion. So yeah, this seems, I feel like this is the kind of point, is just you're slapping on hyper offense and you're doing shit with it, and then boom, 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 and trying to explode the opposing defensive core before it can. And I think it can do that. Like, it only has one mode, but it can do that one mode. So what is there to say? Yeah, it's hard for me to really say anything interesting about this draft, because yeah, it's like it has one mode and it does that, and then it's like fine. So yeah, that is the team. Woohoo! Probably gonna do well. I haven't seen this guy's replays so far, but I would imagine that this will do okay-ish, because it's Scum's wins. Oh my god, oh my god. Okay. The lack of raw power on this team. Holy fuck. So, okay. This team has a pretty severe lack of power outside of Stalk and Nidoqueen. That is an immediate thought I have. And then I feel like this Nidoqueen isn't allowed to even go live orbit that often, so it has like even more of a lack of raw power. Your only like hard hitting mon is Sock, and then I feel you don't really have recovery on the team to backbone it. You are very hazard weak. Well, are you? Yeah, I don't know. You also do have your own hazards, and you have Starmie Fortress, so it's like gonna be probably fine. Yeah, but this team, like immediate thought is this team has a lack of raw power, and it also kind of doesn't have that much longevity outside of like, because your mons that recover is Starmie and Zapdos, and I think on this team they want to be offensive more commonly than defensive ones. So, you really don't have the bulk to play with, like this fact that this core is so weak. Because you would expect like Weavile to hit hard like your modern gen player, and they're like Weavile hits like truck. Like, what do you mean? But it doesn't. Weavile doesn't really have good stabs in this generation. It has Night Slash and Ice Punch for its stabs, and those just don't hit that hard. And then steel types check it fairly well. So I feel like this team has like a mega over reliance on this Nidoqueen and this Sock. And I am unsure if you want to be in that position. But you also do have spikes with the foray. Here you're kind of mitigating the fact that you don't have strong clickers, but you have a strong hazarding core that can get hazards up. And one thing this team does have is that the defensive synergy between Dusclops and Snorlax, which is kind of cool, because Dusclops is allowed to check more often physically fighters, and then Snorlax is allowed to check like more of the setups like Volcarona, for example, or then there's shit like Alakazam. Though one thing I am noting is that this team has a struggle into late game Dragon Dancers if Weavile is like taken care of, because Fortress is Omega dead to fire coverage, and it doesn't have Thunder Wave to control them, so it can't really, halt them in their tracks hard. I don't know. I feel like because this team is so reliant on these two fuckers to force progress, this Weavile is gonna do less things than it could be, and then it's gonna make this team feel kind of mid. So you're really leaning on offensive Zapdos then. I'm unsure what to think about this team. It's much better than I initially gave it credit for, though. But it's a it's so weird as a team. Are you seriously bringing a fucking Sock to many games, or are you bringing Life Orb Nidoqueen to many games? I don't think you are. And then if without Life Orb Nidoqueen doesn't hit that hard. That's like the main thing with it. If you're forced into more like a stealth rocking role. So are you seriously then bringing like Life Orb Starmie to money games, or are you bringing very offensive spreads on Zapdos? You can though. It's not like bad. So it's like, yeah. But what are you benching for Sock then? If you're bringing Sock commonly, are you seriously benching like Snorlax? Are you benching that? Like, what are you benching in the cases that you want to force progress in with Sock? Or what do you bench in case you want to bring Dustcloud? I don't know, it has this weirdness in the later half. Where, what are you benching? Because you want to bring Starmie every single game, you want to bring Zapdos into every single game. You're probably forced to bring in 4 every single game. Because you don't have Dragon Answers outside of that. Outside of maybe like Dusclops. Well, Dusclops can function as a Dragon Answer, yeah. But he's not very good at it because it gets subbed on. But he does have Nightshade, so it's like... eh. It's not like terrible as a check. Weird one. I kinda don't know what to think, yeah, about this team. I would have to check more replays of this team to really have a clue. I know that I wouldn't never draft shit like this, but it can probably work now that I'll look at it closer. Because you have like very good special checks with Snorlax. I think the Snorlax is amazing here, yeah. Really like the Snorlax. Probably I'm just a hater of this Weavile pickup. Like, I feel like this could have been like a stronger Mon. But it's also not terrible because you're still answering like fast psychic types that could give you trouble. Yeah. This could have been a Victini so easily though, for example. And then it seems like Omega good. Because you have a Pursuit Mon with Snorlax. So this could be like a Victini and then this team's offense is just Giga. Did Victini get taken then? It's undrafted in this pool. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater and I don't know what I'm talking about. But that's like my thoughts. I'm Zimmerman, I'm unsure what to think really about your team. So you have confused me severely. So kudos. Schwak. What do I think? This team is fucking goofy again. What is it with these goofy teams? So it's drag spam, but you don't have speed at all. Like, you have Whimsicott, and then you're bringing like fucking Tailwind? Are you seriously just bringing Tailwind then? Or are you mono-scarfing your team? This team doesn't care about being scarfed because you have like good scarfing Haxorus. And you have like somewhat speed control and Sharpedo. This team's so slow. So you're Omega relying on Scarfers with this team for like opposing Salamence, for example. And if Salamence gets to +1, what do you do? You just don't, I guess you don't allow it to go to +1, but how do you stop that commonly? Because it kind of sets up on Tentacruel or it sets up on Sigilyph. Or it can come in on Scizor, it can set up after Scizor avenges something. I don't know, it's like... You aren't like ever allowed to fucking scarf your Scizor, I feel like, unless you're monoclicking U-turn. Because you're so prone to getting swept by setup sweepers. But also offensively, like, what the fuck is defending against this? Nothing, I feel. Because you have 2 mold breaking dragons, so not like ground immunes can even come in on you. And you just load up, I feel like, I think you're loading up like Choice Band Haxorus and then going to town with it early game. I mean, it's hyper offense. It is very much admitting that it's hyper offense, and it's even not like trying to avoid being one. So that's like something to note, I guess. You have kind of weak hazards, but you're like mono relying on Nidoking for rocks. But do you care all that much if you just out offense everyone? You do in certain matchups for sure, though, yeah. I would probably guess that this seems kind of inconsistent, but when it works, it works. So I can very much see like a setup Azalf being kind of scary on this into this, or setup setup. Fuck it. What am I talking? Hold on, let me gather my thoughts. Setup Salamence being kind of scary, or opposing guard jump being kind of scary. It's just, yeah, it is admitting that it is hyper offense, and also Terrakion eats this for days, because not Nidoking isn't the real fucking answer to Terrakion. So, and you have Stone Edge for Jujulip. So I think as Terrakion main, I would just add in like close combat, Stone Edge, Earthquake, and Life Orbit, and then it's just kind of going to town. And like, who gives a fuck if you come to Revenge Witches or you just go to your check? So yeah, strong opposing fighting types look kind of scary if they can like pack it Earthquake too. So that's something to take into account for. Yeah, but it is just hyper offense, so. And overall fucking I don't find this stupid ass hyper offense. How do you even rate this? Why is there Cobalion on this team? I mean, I can just tell that if it is just, this is just definition of matchup fish. If it has the matchup and it can overwhelm the Steel type with Kiraman, Dragonite, or Volcarona, then yeah, it's gonna do like, it's gonna be impossible to play. But at the same time, if opponent can like get rocks up somehow with even with this Espeon up, it's like impossible for this to play. And you're getting like turns because you can just like, if you play it well, you can get turns to do little damage to this Espeon early game, and then you can set up hazards. So you're like Omega trying to abuse the fact that you just have so much offensive power than the opponent, so I'm just gonna out offense you every single game, and that is probably fine. But it's a matchup fish for sure. Not something I would do, but yeah, it's a matchup fish. And well, I own Fice 0-2 right now, but I don't know. I don't think he cares about this score. But yeah, it's just team tournament matchup fish type shit. So shrug. Okay, why did we allow? Okay, when I was talking about the fact that I don't like Lando, I didn't mean to not pick it round 1. Come on, guys. Like, this shouldn't happen. Fucking Thunderous. Well, I guess it's every single pick is like reasonable enough. But this shit should not happen, that Landers and Thunderous all on the same team. And then I like the Gothitol on this team. It's like kind of cool. It brings good vibes. So you're just admitting that you're electric spam, or like hyper offensive with, you're just trying to target your these specific mons like opposing grounds with this core, because you're stacking Fundy and Raikou on the same team. I think that you wanted a stronger ground killer though, but it should be pretty fine in game, and you have Goth to trap it, so it's like you can just trap the ground type and then you're chilling. Cure Black kind of devours this team though. Not much you can do about it, but it's Lotzing Scarf, and then once this Bronzong is dead or chipped, it kind of goes to town. So that's something to take into account for. I guess you do have pretty good revenge in Hitmonchan, so not like terrible. You're also pretty much never getting to remove hazards with the team, because you're relying on like Hitmonchan, Foresight, and Ghosts. But you're so I feel or I think this team's just prone to getting out momentumed in the positions that the Hitmon can't play, and then these rocks are always gonna go up, and they're gonna stay up, and then your fundies. But I guess if your plan isn't to pivot that much with this team, it's like it's kind of whatever. You also don't care playing around spikes because you have free floaters that you're bringing to every single game. I like Ember Palm as a mon, by the way, in Black and White Draft. I think it's really cool. I think it does a lot, and I think it's underrated right now because normal people go overhyped or like the steel types, but then you actually see it in game, and then it does quite a lot. So I feel like Ambipalm is just underrated right now, and it's a very good late game speed option. I'm probably gonna post in the article about it. But yeah, for sure, a good mon. It's like potential. So it has defensive problems, but that's to be expected in a team. Like I feel like in Black or White Draft, you're never gonna be too safe defensively. So because you're relying on one turn resist with like sugar berries and shit. So that's something to take into account for. But yeah, it's a good team, or I feel like it's gonna be like functionally fine. I wonder what Friedel's record is. Is it 2-0? It's 1-2 probably. Yep, 1-1. So fair enough. And then Vifika, I am not pronouncing your name wrong this time around. I saw the drafting process for this, and it's I think it's a good team. I don't have much interesting to say about it. My main criticism is probably the T-Spike weakness, but really, are you like, do you care because you have 2 crown types, so you're just gonna never allow them to play the game because you have Landorus Excadrill, so like they're never coming in on anything against this team. Maybe like Tyranitar, but I know how Vifika likes to run her Tyranitars, like very Dragon Dance and shit. So it's like, I guess they can come in on occasion into those and set up a T-Spike. But also you have like Excadrill. Excadrill doesn't hate playing into Toxic Spike, and then you also have like fucking one floater, 2 floater, 3 floater, and then a Slowbro. So you don't like care all that much about playing against spikes anyways. So, or Toxic Spike. So like, who cares? I think Russell is kind of cool on this team because it's so tanky in sand, and it has spikes, so it's gonna. I think I saw Vifika how she used it earlier, so that was like kind of a cool use. Yeah, I think it answers most things very well. Like Slowbro checks the Terrakions of the world that these kind of teams normally struggle into. And Landorus, I think, is a good pickup because it's a fast pivot. I think it's gonna be like Scarfed a lot, but well, Scarf Drill is also like viable with this team, so yeah, it's gonna be Scarfed on occasion. So, but who cares? Maybe my thing I have been noting when I have been writing about sand is that gravity is a good move, but it's hard to click it. I feel like it's hard to click it in game with Lando because you're so high hidden power ice weak, so when you come in you kind of want shit to get done, but it's probably gonna be fine if you click it against like Skarmory that you want to explode. So it has this use cases for sure. So it's just pretty standard stuff what you would expect from a sand team in modern age. So it's a good sand team. I am actually gonna grab a drink now, so there's gonna be like a 1-minute break in between these following ratings. So we're gonna get to poll 2 once I have had something to drink because my voice is hurting. So be right back. I'm back. So, now it's time for these following 8 players to get their rankings. So, yeah. Coconut. What do I say about your team? So, again, very much. Well, you have like the Hydrogon Garchomp offense. So, and then you have actually have a Raikou. So that's like very cool for this team. I think. I'm big Raikou Glazer in general. So Raikou is good mon. So I like that it's faster, high in speed, and I like the Crobat a lot with this team. So it has like very much stronger, way stronger pivoting than the one earlier. But what does it trade off? Well, it trades off a lot defensively, because this team is absolutely fucking devoured by a good, well-used Fundy. But again, it's like, are you actually allowing it to turns that it wants? Because you have 2 viable Scarfers and 2 outspeeds into it. So are you actually allowing the turns that it needs to get done? But on paper, it kind of does devour this team for breakfast, because your electric resistance is fucking, well, Golett, Raikou, and Garchomp. And Garchomp is a hidden power ice victim, and then Raikou, are you actually using it defensively? And then Golett, we're running Calc, so not the best at answering Fundy. It does follow the same like natural cycle that the undefeated team ran. So, and then you now have Metagross, which is much more offensive than Registeel was. This doesn't have as good like disruption. So if Underwave, for example, it doesn't do that as well. But it kind of opts instead to run more speed, natural speed. So it kind of compensates for that. So it like the main gist is similar between the teams. Is there like a type that kind of checks this team? I'm wondering. I don't clearly see any. Yeah, there pretty much isn't. So it's like offensively sound. It's just this defensively weaker into like opposing dragons, for example, because your steel is Metagross. But also like Girder checks a lot of them. I noticed that in DVL where it can take like a Draco and then do stuff with it, but at the same time, do you want to bring it every single game? I don't think that you do, because you kind of like the U-turn that Crobat has. So, I think it's a good team though. Like, it's a very similar idea to the undefeated one, and then there's not like nothing clearly wrong with it. So yeah, good team overall. Not much to say. Fighting monsters. Oh my god, okay. Okay, this is such a weird team. Such a fucking weird team. Like, it's Shirachi Infernape. So is the idea to like stack sweepers one after another again? So is it like meant to be hyper offensive? But at the same time, these mons kind of just like clicking moves and not really setting up outside of maybe Azalf or Durant, because Durant actually likes clicking home close, so it gets a +2 effectively, and it hits pretty fucking hard with hustle plus home close. So and then it kind of like still have life orb, so it's very strong. But I haven't used Durant before. Durant is good. This does this? No, it has fucking 4 pivots. No, so no, it's always like zigging around. This team can be out offensed though, because it isn't like very bulky. Nothing really can take a hit here outside of Jirachi and maybe Zapdos. So you're probably gonna be having on occasion a hard time into like opposing strong Scarfers. Are you? Yeah, potentially. But then you're using like Doctor to fucking revenge them, so you don't mind that much. But you also do mind because you're so frail, so you're just getting one shot on the money of this month. And this Azalf is just so pursuit weak on this team in specific. Like, if it's not clicking U-turn, you're just getting pursued so fast. But it's also never like a free click. How I would beat this team is just I would out-trade it and then win with some bullshit win con. Has this team been winning? I'm curious. No, it's okay. Yeah, it's on to. Yeah, what I would guess, yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's a gimmick. It's not very consistent, probably. It's my word on it. So that's probably my comps. Yo. So just very standard Terrakion offense. I really like this core of Alakazam, Terrakion, and then Kyurem. I have seen it to be different mons before. I have seen it to be Raikou, for example, but I really like the Kyurem here because Kyurem is just so oppressive as a mon. And yeah, this is just clean team. Like, yeah, you're pretty much admitting that you're never bringing these 2 fuckers, but do you care? Because you have a defensive backbone with this 3, and then you have very strong offensive backbone with this 3. So you're like maybe on occasion bringing Roselia, Ursaring. I don't really see matchups where you bring this over anything, because it isn't really a ghost resistant tier, because it doesn't get Eva Light, and then Focus Blast is a move. So I guess you can bring it like with Gimmick, Facade Sweeper, with Quick Feet on occasion, if there is like a huge normal resistance problem. But for Akion, like a Sam Kyurem, it's just a very good offensive core because they target a lot of different mons, and then they benefit from each other targeting those mons. I have been a huge speaker of Alakazam plus Terrakion as a core. I really like that core. And then these 3 fuckers kinda, because this answers ground types, Bronzong answers your dragons, and then Jellicent answers your like most special like your psychic types. So that's like a very good trio of mons. Yeah, not much to say. It's just a good team. It doesn't even try to be like gimmicky or anything. It's just, yeah, I'm trying to be balanced, and I'm good at being balanced. So this also is, unlike many Terrakion teams, it actually has like a very good answers to water types with the Kyurem and Jolson, so it isn't all losing to rain. Rain is becoming more uncommon, but yeah, it's a good team. Good team for sure. Among Us Blaster, one of these fucking hyper offense teams. Dragon Icysaur. And then you have Mienshao as your fighting type, sure. Then you have Jolteon as a cleaner in case Dragonite fails, so that's like fair enough. You are actually bringing Dragonite to Bandit quite commonly, which is good. Or you are bringing like agility, not Dragonite every single matchup. You have Mesprit, healing, so your healing voice is covered. You have Swampert, which I think is a good one. It is overpriced right now because this dog had wrong pricing on the Swampert. It should be at 9, and at 9 points it's a very good mon. But I really like Swampert. Because you're also having like, by these three fuckers having, I had this core in DVL myself, and I would got to play around it. By these three fuckers having like a different 4x weaknesses, you're putting a lot of pressure into finding the specific hidden power type, and then answering like, well, the one time that I tried this was with Zapdos, and then they called me out, but like it's like good because Swampert benefits a lot from that like situation. I like the Tentacruel here, yeah, for sure, and I don't hate Double Water because these two have like, because this is an electric, this is electric weak, but this isn't. And this is grass weak, but this isn't, so it like doesn't really matter. Strong ground types I could see it being a problem for this team. So Garchomp looks omega scary here, because it can really easily just slotting Scarf, or it can be just Life Orb too. You have good enough rockers, so I don't really need to see any complaint about that. I think spikes are like kind of overhyped to some extent. I did criticize earlier a team, but if this team, like, because this team has actually raw power, it doesn't really matter if it doesn't have spikes, because it has raw power. So it just it chooses to go that route, because spikes is that you're forcing consistent progress. That is what you do with them. But if you can like just do it on without it, then it's like all the same pretty much. So yeah, it's a good team. I wouldn't be surprised if it is like 2-0. Is it? Yeah, it's 2-0. Yeah. Also, there's a very good pilot on that team, so it's like to be expected, to be honest. Then getting to the final four. E-Man. Oh, I hate Crocodile. Crocodile is such a bad mon. But it's just this fucking carbon copy of my Dragonite. Oh, this is just the copy of that team. Oh. But instead of, okay, did Cofagrigus get taken earlier? Oh, it just probably didn't fit the points. Yeah, okay, this is just functionally, okay. Yeah, so, instead of having Dragonite like my own team did have, it has Salamence, and it does pretty much the same, but it's actually stronger on the special side, which was a problem I was having with the team, is that, is like Dragonite was a little bit too reliant on the physical side, so it was struggling on occasion against specific defense, of course. Cobalion, I think it's overpriced now. Am I crazy to say that Cobalion is overpriced after having hyping it for half a year? For sure, probably. But I think it's overpriced at 14. I think 13 was fine for it. Crocodile for sure is overpriced though. This kinda doesn't fix really the issues I was having with the Silly Gurus team, which was, for example, that the team wasn't forcing enough progress, because Crocodile was like, I was feeling it that it was being felt forced into more like Choice Scarf every single game, and that leaves offensive holes open. And that was like the benefit of having Kofagrigus on that team, and now it's replaced by Dusclops, because Kofagrigus is pretty scary offensively. Unlike Dusclops, which isn't a nasty Bloodmon on its own. So this team is just, I feel like it's, I think it is kind of a step down from the original team, obviously, because it just doesn't have enough offensive pressure that it can slot in to compensate for the fact that it is stallier. And a part, I think, with that team was that I would have, if I was to evolve that team, I definitely would have had like more bringable Spiker. So that's probably what this Vileplume should have been, but it frankly won't matter all that much. Like, potentially this could have been like a Rotom, then Yellow could have been a different Mon, and then you could have gotten a Spiker, and then it's like different then. So then you would have had a cleaner way to force progress, but as it is, you really don't. But I really like the Snorlax plus Ghost Core. I think that it's like very good. Because they check each other's answers, and then Starmie is just very good. Yeah, it's just based on when I was using this core, it's I know that it works, but it has like some problems, and kind of a lot of them came with because of this fucker. So take that as you will. Leftover Hordish. Cure and Black, but we go stall. Why are we stall? Why are we stall, but we don't have good physical check? Well, I guess we do have Pharaoh, so it's like we have Feral Bliss. Then we also don't have the Great Spinner. And we are a stall team. Yeah, it's a semi-stall. Nothing. It's like trying. I think it's gonna be like slotting this Cure and Black, or wants to force this slot this Cure and Black most often with Choice Band, for example. I like the Magneton then, because then you are killing steals more easily, and then or forcing them to run specific items, and that's a benefit you have. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Hard to really analyze. This is passive nation, so you're very prone to like set up sweepers. Like Terrakion kind of goes crazy here, especially if this Glidol gets shipped. Set up sweepers in general kind of go crazy on this, and mixed attackers that can force this Pharaoh to really bow down to it. Then they can explode this Blissey and Alamomola, and that's like that's something I would be scared of. I'm looking at this team and I'm like, okay, you're scarfing this Rotom Wash 99% of the time, I think. Which isn't bad, it's just something to note. You're never gonna spin against ghost types with this team though, unless you're like playing very aggressively with this Drapion, so you're benching probably Alamomola then, which is fine. You don't really need the Alamomola in general with this team. The Alamomola I think was just weird because you got Blissey later, so you just ignore this Aloe because it doesn't get any moves. Yeah, the Aloe is just bad on this team. It could be a different mon, and then this team is like better. It could have been like Arrow, for example, or a Crobat, something like really fast, and so you're like as inclined to bring Rotom Scarfed every single game to get rid of Psychics and faster threats. that can devour you. But it's like, it's stall. I wonder if this team's doing okay. Probably, yeah. Okay, it's 1-on-1. Okay. I will have to check more replays with that team. Bronzo. Did I complain? No, okay, it was a different team. Okay. So yeah, like, seemingly Fundy plus Landers has came to being a part of this tier now, because I have yapped, or people have yapped too hard against Lando. Yeah, I don't think this should happen at all, but it is that people are valuing sand, which is also a good note. I think that's correct, though, that sand is being valued, so Landers is falling, which is kind of interesting to me, because it results in stuff like this. Because then you have like a very good Scarfer, and then you have Fundy, and then this team has like, this team, unlike the Wild team we saw before, this has power. This like actually does damage, and it does a lot of it really fast, because Victini's hits like a motherfucker, Landers with Scarf hits like truck, and Fundy hits like a truck. So this team has damage. And then it has Loking Fortress, which I'm never gonna be suggesting Fortress, but for a team that really needs spin, because it's actually never spinning, but probably every single, yeah, because you can't really fit anything else, yeah, because Blastoise and Tentacruel got taken, so it's like whatever, you got sniped in the pool, so that's the best you're gonna get, because I would rather run Fortress than Hitmontop. But the idea was Loking, so you have those two kind of are meant to, I guess, check like physical threats, special threats. Then you have kind of similar targets where like Draco spammers are gonna just win. Yeah, holy shit, I'm looking at like a Draco spammer and he just kind of owns this though. Like, good fucking god. Like Spec Salamence or Kyurem or mixed card champ is just gonna kind of own this, I feel. So that's kind of something to note. But you have offensive tools to beat those, so you're not the greatest defensively, is what I'm trying to get, but you have offensive pressure, so you can probably win those games. You just have to plan very offensively, and then account for it in the later games. So yeah, kind of a weird team to rank again, because it doesn't have like the structural needs I would like in a team if I would draft myself, but it has like a very clear identity with this with this top two plus Victini and Weavile. And you also do explode steel types. You don't explode ground types all that well. For this Fundy to really click Thunderbolt freely. But you all do. I have always liked the Victini plus Fundy synergy. So yeah, that's good combo. Yeah, and then for the final one today, JOG Mac. I had the pleasure of fighting this core, and holy shit, it is fucking annoying to fight, because it is so bulky, where unless you have like a hard fucking breaker, I had a choice banded Kyurem Black. Unless you have like something of that caliber, it is very hard for you to break this team, because Reuniclus is just a fat chud before it kind of owns you, because it has tools to beat you offensively, because Aerodactyl in sand is kind of scary, and Tyranitar in sand is kind of scary. What I was thinking about this team is that it plays very trade heavy, where you're kind of giving you are fine giving up HP on your mons, so you can hit them back hard. So that's the same extent here too, by the way, with this Wifika team, is that you are kind of fine trading HP, so you can force progress on your own. So one of your something that like can win the game, like Arrow or Reuniclus can win. So that's something I would totally note. I like the Sock. I'm a big fan of Sock and in general as a mon on this kind of teams, because I am probably bigger on Sock than most people, because it's such a fine lead in so many matchups where you have sturdy and then you just kind of boom boom shakalaka. Among Us I don't think is probably bringable in many matchups, so this team does have a weakness to some extent with waters, but you have Seismitoad, but it's like these offensive waters are gonna fit in Grass Knot or Hidden Power Grass, and then they look kind of scary, so that's something to take into account for. But it has like a very good clear identity in my opinion as a team. It's just looking to trade, and then it's gonna blast you offensively. It doesn't force progress that fast, so that's like, because you don't have a spiker, so it doesn't actually force progress that fast. Yeah, that's probably what I have to say. Something to note though with this team is that Reuniclus and Gengar both are pursued it, but that's actually works in their benefit, I feel like, in the team. Because they're gonna blast the dark type, trying to blast the dark type with focus blast, but if the dark type user can play it correctly and understand that the Gengar, for example, is gonna be Colbur a lot, then you are there. They can like use the slot one mon to beat both of them, but also at the same time, a lot of this tier's dark types are kind of shit. Like we don't have a really strong pursuit mon, so it's like Reuniclus is gonna shrug off most pursuits pretty easily. So yeah, it's never gonna get one shot unless like a fucking Choice Bandit Tyranitar. So it's a double-edged sword for 100% though. So yeah, it's a really cool team for sure. Yeah, do I have anything interesting more to say about it? Not really. I like it. I like Rock Spam. I like Aero plus Tyranitar. I feel like its pressures a lot of defense, of course. Pretty good. Well, so yeah. Yeah, that was today's analysis. Sorry if it went into way too much of a rambling. And sorry if a lot of my rambles are like incoherent, but that was like my first initial quick little yappings about this sim, so it was fun looking at roasting people. Or I didn't really roast anyone, I called everyone good, but yeah, for sure. So I'm hopefully gonna get more episodes out later when I have more time. So yeah, glad to have filmed this one, and see you in the next one.